everybody, Omar here, the Knife Shark Guy, and I am back with another fun-filled video for you. And today I'm going to talk about one of my all-time favorite knife makers, Marcin Slysz. Now, this guy makes knives. He's a Polish knife maker, and he is a custom Polish knife maker. He makes knives in his own right, but that's not really what he's well known for. He's actually well known for collaborating with Spyderco. This is one of the knives that he made. It's called the Spyderco Swish Bowie. And everybody on YouTube, including their dog, has done a video on this knife back in 2015 when this knife came out. This knife has been heavily lionized by several people, including Nick Shabazz, who actually did 3 separate videos on it. Mine is Cerakoted in gold and black and silver for the back spacer. And then we have 2020's newest release, which is the Spyderco Swayback. That is a slip joint looking knife that everybody seems to be eating up, including yours truly. I absolutely got this. When I absolutely got this, I absolutely loved it. Every aspect of this knife just turned me on. It still does. It's been used fairly, not heavily, but fairly. I've been using it quite a bit over the last few weeks, and I absolutely love it. I actually took the washers and took a little Scotch-Brite, and I polished the washers just to speed up the process so I could get that, that false shut when you disengage the frame lock. But in any case, the reason I brought these 2 knives out is because I want to talk about the knife maker himself, Marcin Slysz, because he seems to be a knife maker that gets a lot of oohs and ahs in the knife community. We don't know what it is that this gentleman has with his designs on his knives, but a good deal of Spyderco lovers love this guy's designs, whether it is the Spyderco Swish Bowie, whether it is the Spyderco Swayback, or the Spyderco Techno, which is the smaller knife that I used to have, that I don't have anymore, and I'm very, very sorry that I sold it, and I'm probably going to wind up getting that small knife back. And the Spidey Chef, and so on and so forth. So, his knives have kind of become iconic. Does it have anything to do with Nick Shabazz lionizing the Spyderco Swish Bowie? I don't know. My opinion on that, and the reason these knives are so popular and in demand, is because there is the crossover point between custom and production knives. And one of the things that's interesting about Marcin Slysz is that he has the amazing ability to kind of cross that line between custom and production. He knows, how to create a production knife with just the right amount of detail that's going to bring a lot of us hungry knife makers out. I wanted to go over some of those features. First of all, let's take a look at the Swayback and the Spyderco Swish Bowie. Every time you guys have seen a titanium knife, titanium is always flat, right? It doesn't really feel very good in the hand. A lot of the titanium knives are just flat across the board, okay? And Marcin Slysz seems to do this thing where he takes the titanium, or at least the design of the titanium, he has decided that it should be curved. Take a look at that. Curved titanium. So his knives are kind of curved because you want to be able to have the knife in your hand. It wants to feel good. You want to feel good when you're using the knife. You want it to fit as properly in your hand without causing any pain from heavy use. And the fact that the knife is contoured makes the knife a lot easier for heavy use. Same thing with the Swayback. Look at this. Same thing with the Swayback. He has curved the titanium. See a little bit of roundness on there. on the knife. He's curved that down on there. He's also done other things to the knife. He's added this over travel stop on the knife, which also prevents it from lock stick. Now, for titanium knives, for the most part, you know, it's always nice to have that over travel stop to keep it from sticking. But, you know, the Spyderco Swish Bowie does not have that on there, and I don't find it sticking all that badly, all that much. In fact, I'm pretty sure it won't stick anymore now that it is Cerakoted. But one of the main reasons I brought this whole concept up is because the amount of detail that Marcin Slysz puts on his knives happens to be just enough that a company like Spyderco will go ahead and put it into production. But it also backfires on sales also, because if you notice, the Spyderco Swish Bowie is no longer in production anymore. It's discontinued. And it's for the same exact reason that the knife is so popular. There's so much detail on the knife. There's so many beautiful things on this knife that make people want it, from the contoured handle, right, to the perfect jimping, to that backspacer, to the raised, you know, sort of to the raised sort of ridges on the back of the backspacer, that it's still all even, you know, between this flat part over here. The ridges are exactly the exact height as the titanium when all screwed in. Everything's all nice and flat and detailed. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because this entire knife was done by machine. And you don't know how many of these they're pumping out. So each one of these knives, the machine for each one of these knives, and the sway back as well, has to be exactly the same. Now, you have to kind of wonder how much time consumption, how much money is put into making a knife like this, where everything is basically all detailed up to the point that, you know, the customer's just going to come and want this knife hungrily, just because it feels good in the hand. The smoothness of the washers, everything on this knife is just super perfect, and it's a production knife. It's not a custom. Custom knives, you expect this kind of quality in the basics. On a production knife, you do not. And Marcin Slysz has produced 2 knives with that quality. Now, having said that, do I think that the Spyderco swayback will be discontinued? Probably. Probably not, but probably. Because this one, they were really over pushing it with the details on the knife. You know, the fact that when you take a look at this blade, it's crowned on top. Just getting each and every, who knows how many of these blades that Spyderco had to crown the round on it and then flatten at the same time. I mean, take a look at that blade. Look at the detail on that. And Nick Shabazz has gone over this, but he's absolutely right. You've got a crowned round blade over here that intersects with the flat part of the knife, and that is done by a machine. That's not done by hand, that's done by a machine. To get the jimping nice and smooth and not rough, like on most of the knives that we see, that's done by a machine. I mean, it's all overly polished, overly well done. I mean, so a knife like that, not only is it time consuming, not only is it very, very time consuming to make a knife like this, but the cost for making hundreds, maybe even thousands in production like this, probably costs Spyderco quite a bit of money. Which is, there was a point where they realized, okay, these knives are selling like hotcakes, we got to keep production going, and then somewhere down the line, there's a possibility that people stop buying them. Maybe that's what happened. Who knows? Maybe they stopped buying them, or the ratio of the knives being bought, even with all the commercial hype done by Nick Shabazz and all the other knife enthusiasts out there. Epic Snuggle Bunny is no stranger to this knife. You know, there may have come a point where people just stopped buying it because, you know, the price for the knife just kept going, I don't know, up and up and up and up, or maybe they were like limited in production. who knows what happened. But somewhere down the road, the knife just stopped being made. And all of a sudden, the price for this knife went up and up and up and up. Now, if you go on eBay, you can pick yourselves up one of these Spyderco Swiss Bowies for $1,100 versus $270, which is what I purchased it for back in 2015 when the knife was currently in production. Now, this knife is roughly the same exact price that this knife was selling for. This knife, I believe I bought this one for, I think, $270 for the swayback, and it is, once again, because of the contoured handle on there. That's a big cost to get the knives contoured like that, so that it's nice and comfortable in your hand. So probably the same thing will happen. However, having said all of that, both of these are excellent knives. The popularity for both of these knives will probably never ever go away. People are buying the Spyderco Swiss Bowie for $1,100. It's happening out there. You kind of wonder why this crossover knife and the maker who made these crossover knives, and I call them crossover knives because they are crossing over into custom territory. Is it possibly a ploy? Who knows? To get Spyderco to make more knives that push the boundaries of just a good quality production knife. Do you think that knife companies are going to start coming out with a line of cost-effective knives? And that's going to be kind of an interesting discussion, because the word cost-effective and custom, they don't go together. They're either going to be highly detailed, where the fit and finish is over the top, or they're not. And I can't even understand why, but these two knives seem to epitomize, in my opinion, the point where custom is starting to be seen on a lot of the production knives. The popularity for the idea of getting a custom knife is becoming more and more popularized. We're going to start to see, or are we going to start to see, more and more details from other knife makers, like Marcin Slysz? Or is Marcin Slysz just not one trick pony, but is he just the only knife maker who came along with the idea of pushing the boundaries of getting the basics to be over the top, that it has almost custom-like features? Or was it just Marcin Slysz's natural ability to make knives with such high quality, with such high detail, that it's a possibility that other knife makers may or may not follow? I don't know. All I know is whenever one of these high detailed knives come out, whether it's Marcin Slysz or let's say it's Rick Hinderer, whoever is next in line to do something like that, that knife becomes the next lionized knife. That knife becomes the next real knife in the spotlight, like the Spyderco Swiss Bowie did. And it's already starting to happen with the swayback, isn't it? I mean, I'm seeing the swayback in a lot of different videos now, not just mine, but Nick Shabazz already done one on Marcin Slysz's swayback. A lot of people are doing knives on this. A lot of people doing videos on Marcin Slysz's swayback knife. We don't know, but we do know this much. The Spyderco Swiss Bowie, to conclude, the Spyderco Swiss Bowie and the Spyderco swayback, I believe, is now a turning point in knife making, where we're no longer going to look for a really good knife anymore. We're going to look for more high-end detail, for more precision in the knife making than we are used to seeing before. In other words, what I'm saying is that that's the next big thing in knives. Who's going to come up with the next knife that's going to push the boundaries, that's going to change the trend of the knife community, from, being just a really good knife to being almost pushing that boundary into art. Because that seems to be where knives are going, at least with Spyderco. Spyderco seems to be the most experimental knife company, the most experimental American knife company around. They work with all kinds of knife makers. Polish, Italian, German, you name it. Spyderco does all of it. They collaborate with everybody and anything. Zero Tolerance, still finding their footing, not so much. But then again, Zero Tolerance has marketed themselves as the American knife company, or at least Kai has. Spyderco, a little bit more flexibility in who they choose to collaborate with, leaving more openness with a lot of us knife enthusiasts who want to see something different. Because the next step, once you get into, say, a knife like the Spyderco Swish Bowie or whatever high-end knife you choose, how far off are you from actually getting your first custom knife? That's really the question. So that is it for this video. I really don't know if I got my point across or not. Whether I didn't or did, please comment on my channel. I'm interested to hear what you guys say. And of course, if you want to check out the videos I did on both these knives, you can check that out on my channel. Actually, I did the video for the Spyderco Swish Bowie long before I got it Cerakoted, so you're going to have to go down to my channel to find that. But it's there. Otherwise, I'm sure you'll be happy with Mitch Shabaz's over-the-top video on Spyderco Swish Bowie. I'm nowhere near as good as he is. So there you have it. My thoughts on Marcin Slysz's builds and the idea of detail in knives and where knives are going. Thank you so much for watching. This is Omar the Knife Sharp Guy. I hope this video has been interesting for you and not just a bunch of blabbing, but maybe you guys may want to comment on it. I'm not sure. Or if you want to comment and maybe answer why the Spyderco Swish Bowie has gotten so much attention. I've given my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And this is the Knife Sharp Guy signing off. Hoping you'll find one of these two guys in your collection. Thanks so much for watching. And you guys have a great evening. Please stay safe.